Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sunny and Phoenix podcast, a weekly podcast where we keep you up to date on everything Phoenix Suns. I'm Mitch Krumpetich, and today I'm joined by David McGraw. How's it going?
Hey, Mitch. It's going pretty good. I'm excited.
Good.
I have I wouldn't say a ton of energy right now because I never have a ton of energy, but I'm really excited.
Good, I'm glad. We don't have our third member of our team, Charlie Erling, this week because he is enjoying time back on the farm in South Dakota. So I hope he's enjoying that. But he will be back next week for sure because we will all be together in the flesh in Las Vegas at Summer League. And I am super pumped for that.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Chuck's pretty pumped to stop milking cows and go up and watch some basketball.
Yeah, for sure. He just has to deal with two different farm animals in us.
Make sure to get a hold of us on social media. Our Twitter is @SunnyandPHXPod. Our email is sunnyandphxpod@gmail.com. And check us out over at our new host, the Deepish Thoughts Podcast Network, over at deepishthoughts.com.
Thanks for listening to the Sunny and Phoenix podcast. If you'd like to further support the show, you can head over to tpublic.com/user/sunnyandphx. That's teepublic.com/user/sunnyandphx. We've got t-shirts, mugs, phone cases, all kinds of stuff. You can get our famous cheese is warming up design, or just one that says Sunny and PHX. Again, tpublic.com/user/Sunny and PHX. And go Suns. So really quick, last week I mentioned that I would shout out all the people that subscribe to us over the whole week in order to get us over 100 subscribers. We got to 106, so thank you for everyone who helped get us to that point. The only problem is I can only see on our channel those who have public profiles that let me see. So if you would like to be shouted out and you don't have a public profile, you can get a hold of us on any of our social medias, which we'll have that plug so you know where to go. But in the meantime, the people that I can shout out here, I will. I'll try really hard not to butcher any names, but if I say it wrong, let me know, and I'll correct it next week. So we have Rick Lumley, Kurt Bowen, White Chocolate 47, Luis Barayeza, I think that's right, Alan Curry, and Ravi Sharukupali. So thank you to all of those people and all of our subscribers who have gotten us to this point. We couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, definitely. I thank everyone for coming on to this wild, wacky, inflatable tube man ride. And, shout out to the space that gets cut out while I try to load up last video and see who it was that commented about the podcast.
Oh, it was White Chocolate.
I thought it was. Yeah. And special extra shout out to White Chocolate 47 for saying that it was his favorite Suns podcast. That's pretty cool. I made sure to reply and thank him for that. But
yeah,
thanks, man.
We appreciate it. We appreciate all of the comments we receive. It makes my day whenever I see them. And negative comments, let's cut that out because I don't. I was going to say something not super nice, so whatever. So let's get right into it. Summer League. We had our first Suns Summer League game, and it was pretty awesome. So the Suns beat the Sacramento Kings 89-85 in the first game. I'll just go over the highlights of the box score really quick here. We had Dragan Bender with 11 points, 5 rebounds, and assist. Josh Jackson in his debut had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. We had Marquise Chris, who had 19 points and 9 rebounds. Would have loved to see him get one more, but that's okay. Derek Jones Jr. had 10 points, 4 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Mike James played really, really well. 12 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, 6 rebounds. And then the other highlight is Davon Reed, who had 17 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. So, David, what are your highlights from that first game?
You know, even though they didn't shoot very well, our Summer League big three of Dragan Bender, Marquise Chris, and Josh Jackson, they'll definitely be getting minutes, of course, the most minutes out of any of these guys once the season starts. And just real shout out to them. Bender shot 3 of 8 from 3, while his 2-point shooting was not nearly as good as that. You know, that'll come in time. And you know, Marquise Chris just showing a little bit of that versatility and potential with getting a steal and a block on top of his 9 rebounds. So he was the first guy in quite a while, or not quite a while, but he's one of those guys that where only a couple of them have done it in his rookie year, is being able to tally the amount of steals and blocks that he did combined. And, you know, I'd be lying if I said that between Josh Jackson and Davon Reed that I'm not super pumped. I know that Josh Jackson didn't shoot well. The free throws shooting will probably drop down a little bit, but I'm stoked about 6 for 7 on free throws. And man, I just can't wait to see him line up in the actual lineup alongside Bledsoe and Booker as well.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It was just so exciting to see. And Summer League is always an exciting time for Suns fans, but like, Jackson is the real deal. I know it's been one Summer League game, and I've criticized other people for saying, oh, it's only been one Summer League game. Don't judge them based on that. But Jackson looks awesome. He had a really, really great interview on the starters, too. So if you can find a rerun of that or whatever, I definitely recommend checking it out. He's pretty good with the media, it seems like. But he mentioned that he was pretty nervous, and really, I couldn't tell a whole lot. I kind of thought back to last season with Chris and Bender being rookies. I saw a lot more nerves from those two than I did from Jackson. But, I mean, it's super understandable for these guys to be nervous. And, you know, Jackson got into the groove pretty quickly, and I liked what I saw from him. But the thing that I think is he settled for quite a few long twos, and I'm not super happy with that. He made a couple, and they looked nice, but it's a little bit scary. And the thing that I'm really seeing is that he's already a really good slasher type player. So I want to see him add that shot in, but that's going to take time. We saw a couple flashes. He had a really nice post up with a turnaround jumper that he finished. But 3-point shooting, not quite there yet. The long twos are scary again, but the slashing is there, and I think that's great.
Yeah, and this is all stuff that we kind of knew going in with Josh Jackson. He's not really a shoot the lights out kind of guy, but he has the potential to be that. Some of those long twos that you see were kind of more college threes, and that's still something that he has to learn to not necessarily pull up from there and figure out the floor spacing of where everything is. And that'll come with more play time on an NBA court with the lines there.
Yeah.
I think that... No, go ahead, Mitch, if you're going to say something. Okay. And, you know, slashing and defense, that was the big thing. Underrated ball handling. I think all of those things were kind of on display. And once he's alongside other guys like Booker and Bledsoe who can slash but help space the floor as well, and especially some spacier lineups with Chris and Bender on the floor or Chris and TJ on the floor, that those lanes are going to be there for him to slash. And I think there was something that Booker said, how he thought there would have been a lot more lobs if Ulis was there. It is a little bit of a bummer, and I think that Ulis would have helped out Jackson with some of that efficiency a lot as well.
Definitely. But I just think there's just so much great stuff that we're already seeing. So just thinking about him on the floor with Booker and Bledsoe is really great. And I mean, I can't even wait for the next Summer League game, you know. The other thing that I feel like we have to mention is that Josh Jackson's hair is incredible. It is amazing. Like that fro doesn't move hardly. And, people have kind of made these weird comparisons of like he shoots worse with the big hair, but I don't know if there's truth behind that or not. If that is true, he needs to learn how to shoot with that hair because it's awesome. But okay, aside from that, his passion and just like intangibles, his love for the game and all of that is very, very apparent, and he's going to fit right in with this team. He had a technical already. He was really fired up. He was excited, and I love seeing that. Very emotive player, and I think that's great.
Yeah, that drive is there, and that's definitely why I wanted Jackson from really early on. It seemed like last season when we were talking about potential players, and man, that drive is there, and that's something that I'm excited about. That's something that I want from a draft pick, is that drive to be something.
Yep. So let's move on to our other rookie, Davon Reed, who he looked good. He got me excited because we talked about how much of a reach he was, but now it's like, was he a reach or is he a major steal? Because he came out very, very confidently. He was 2 for 4 from 3, 6 for 11 from the field, 3 for 3 from free throw. And, I mean, he looked like he was right in his element right out of the gates. And that could come with his age a little bit, as he was a senior, graduated from college and everything. But, I mean, super, super exciting to see what he can do. And we were is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it would make me really happy if we were able to hit on 2 early second rounders as well, if Davon Reed can pan out like Ulis looks like he is. I think that the big deal about some of these senior guys is people are really scared to draft them because of upside and how everything kind of is right now. You got to remember, this whole 1 and done, 2 and done thing is not the norm in NBA history. You had guys that would go play 4 years at college and then come into the NBA. They're ready. They're able to produce right away, be like solid players, solid role players, solid possible stars right away. And that happens, and that happened a lot more often before this 1 and done era. And you got to remember that, and I think that's why you really can't put too much stake in, well, this guy is so much older, like you can't draft him as early. This dude probably could have been a solid pick in the late first if he wasn't ranked so low and didn't have as much upside potential, because, man, does the NBA need wings, and you need guys that will go out there and hustle on defense and shoot threes. You just need that in the modern NBA. That's what Davon Reed looks like he's going to be.
Summer League.
And that is a bench guy for backing up Booker. We can't go wrong with that right now.
Other standouts to me. We got to talk about Bender. He was 4 for 13 from the field and 3 for 8
100%.
from 3. Those numbers aren't amazing, but his shot looks so much more confident than last year. It looks like he's put on quite a bit of muscle. He's got a lot more definition. Just looks more confident overall. He hit the threes that he did hit, and he hit a couple long twos. Looked good. There were a couple possessions with great ball movement that he was able to finish off with a shot. And, I think having him healthy this year is going to be really important. He played great defense as well, which we know he's good at. But I really liked what I saw from Bender despite what looked like lackluster numbers. Do you have anything on Bender?
Yeah, I don't think Bender is a guy, especially right now, but he's not going to be a guy that has that superstar potential or all-star potential like Josh Jackson and Marquise Chris on this team, but he is going to have really good potential to be I'll call it a standout role player. You have these guys like the Kukoc, JJ Redick, an all-star role player, where he's not really an all-star, but super standout. He's better than a role player and has a role everywhere because he can do the things that you ask of him to do. And I think that's him. I don't see him as this, he's going to be able to run the point and all this other stuff. Maybe he will later on, but he's just because you have good ball movement and you can pass the ball well and all those kind of things doesn't mean you need to be running point guard all the time. And I think that's what a lot of people have problems with trying to, oh, this guy can pass and, he has a little bit of a handle. Let's try giving him the main ball handling responsibilities. And that's just not going to be Bender. He's going to be a solid guy that, solid kind of almost undersells it, but he's going to be a guy that is the perfect kind of player to play alongside these guys with superstar potential that we have. And if you want that, we've said it before, if you want Kristaps Porzingis from him, that's not what he is. If you're going to try and compare him all the time, which people are always going to try and do because of how they were drafted the year after each other and in just about the same spot, they're different players. They have different possibilities. And while, sure, I guess you can say that the unknowns are that he could be a superstar and all these other things. If you're going to look for that from him, he's going to have he's never going to have the big numbers. He will always have these kind of lower numbers because he just goes out there and does other things that won't show up on the stat sheet.
Yep, you're definitely right. And Point Bender needs a little bit more work, but I hope to see a little more of it. It's Summer League. You got to experiment with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah. So Marquise Chris, let's talk about him. Marquise has put on a bunch of weight, and I think it's great. He looks beefy. He looks huge. I saw a commercial earlier today for some double XL beefy chalupa from Taco Bell or something. And I mean, that's him right now. He's going to lose some of that weight and he's going to get in a little better shape, but he has been in the weight room nonstop. You can tell. And it's great. He's still got that ferocity to him. And it really helped. It was super apparent because he was fighting hard. He got a little tired throughout the game, and you can Summer League before you fell out. So he didn't quite go full Thon Maker and fell out of a Summer League game, but he tried. Season, he will have dropped a bit of weight, but still have gained so much muscle.
Yeah, I think I kind of forgot to say it with Bender, but these guys, they are going to put on weight, but not all of it's going to be muscle. Everyone is super obsessed with, oh my gosh, he put on 20 pounds of muscle just in this short amount of time. That's not what necessarily we're talking about here either, but just kind of weight in general. And Chris definitely needed to beef up a bit, but he was a little out of it. Probably has been working out a ton. I think there was some Instagram videos of him and Bledsoe working out together already. So he has been working out, but he may have also had a couple of those chalupas. I mean, I'm not gonna complain. I mean, when they had that quesalupa at Taco Bell, I ate way too many of those things because they were so good. But I mean, I don't blame him, and that'll get worked off, especially in an NBA season and with the lead up to that as well. And that'll get worked off a bit, and some of the stamina will get better. But I think as Suns fans, we also just, the fact that we have Tyson on this roster still to work with him on those kind of things is just fantastic, because if there's someone that can rebound, it's Tyson.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Apparently, Marquise Chris is going to be working out with Tyson in L.A. for the rest of the offseason after Summer League ends. So that'll be perfect. And if you've seen Tyson's chicken legs, you will know that he can help Chris lose some of that weight.
Hey, talk about those chicken legs all you want, but man, he doesn't need it for that rebound, and he's got
right.
that little bit of
still
core
love
weight.
Tyson. That's right. Okay, and then I can't truly be a Zag fan without mentioning the Zag who played for the Suns. That was David Stockton, son of point guard great John Stockton. He played 2 minutes and didn't do anything. But he was there, so I have to mention that.
I gotta say, even if you watched the game, you might have not even known that he played, because, man, I mean, was he truly there? Was he?
I mean, I can read. and he was +3.
I mean, like, but was he really there? Like, I know you like he was there. There was video of him and like all that other stuff. But like, are you sure it wasn't just some other white kid?
Well, that's a good point. But this does lend to a bigger topic here, and that's that all of our starters played a lot. We had Bender 31 minutes, Jackson 34, Chris 33, Jones Jr. 26, and Mike James 35. It was the first summer league game, so of course those guys are going to get a lot of minutes. I don't expect that to change a whole lot until later on, but I mean, eventually we're going to give some of these guys a little more run just to see if we can get one more of those two-way contracts or see if someone can prove themselves. But for now, let's go with these starters who are actually going to play in the regular season.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of the summer league deal. The guys that you know are for sure going to get the major minutes in the NBA or minutes in general in the NBA. You're going to give them more minutes in summer league just to see what they can do and see if there's what you need to work on, what maybe something that you didn't know was there to begin with, or any of that kind of stuff. But once the summer league season, in quotation marks or air quotes, whatever, progresses and there's like only a couple games left, then a lot of these guys are going to end up sitting that are in the starting lineup that don't really necessarily need the extra minutes, mainly Bender and Chris. Those guys are going to sit. That's the same thing that happened with Booker last year. Booker played some pretty major minutes in the first couple of games and then played and ended up sitting after, I think it was like 6 games or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something, I don't know, but right before the little tournament, he ended up sitting and then didn't play in the tournament aspect of summer league at all. So, like that's just happens. You get these second year guys in, see if there's what else needs to be worked on, see how much they've improved from the year before, so you have that film, and then they're kind of just there for the moral support towards the end.
And that's
of it.
fine with me. So let's talk about some of the big moves outside of the Suns that are pretty important. First, we have Paul Millsap signing with the Nuggets, which is exciting because I know none of us wanted him to sign in Phoenix. I'm glad that one didn't happen, but interesting move for the Nuggets. And then we have Gordon Hayward signing with the Celtics, reuniting with Brad Stevens. So that's kind of cool, but what are your thoughts on those two moves?
Well, we mentioned it last week that we had taken ourselves out of the Millsap running in general and just wanted to focus on youth. And we saw that a little bit. We cut Barbosa to have just a little bit more flexibility with being able to take on contracts in exchange for getting assets. That's kind of the main reason why we do that now. And it seems like a good move with how hard it has been for other teams to really dump bad contracts. I mean, it took the Lakers D'Angelo Russell to be able to move Mozgov, so it's going to be a little tougher for teams, especially with just how many teams are already at the cap. I mean, there's not really that many left, so it was good for the Suns and good for the Nuggets as well. They were knocking right on the door of being able to be a playoff team last year, and looks like they may have been able to put themselves in really solid positioning with a Paul Millsap and Nikola Jokic front court and the ability to possibly be a playoff team.
Yeah, I'm
next year.
excited for the Nuggets. I think that's a good signing. One thing that I think is cool is that there were a few Broncos players who helped out recruit Millsap, and I always think it's cool when other teams in the same area get together to make that kind of stuff happen. So that was fun to see. But talking about Gordon Hayward now,
Yeah.
I mean, the East is like just the skeleton of a conference now. Like, you've got LeBron, you've got the Raptors, and you've got the Celtics now with Gordon Hayward. But the Celtics, in order to sign Hayward, had to trade. I mean, I can barely say this. This is just terrible. Avery Bradley to the Pistons for Marcus Morris straight up. Like, doesn't that just make you sick?
That's so bad. And if there's one thing that the Celtics really didn't need, it's another small forward. And like, there's some people trying to say that he's a power forward. It's like, no, you got the wrong brother.
Right,
Like,
right.
What are you thinking? Like, this just like, man, they got another small forward to play possibly undersized power forward to hurt them more in rebounding. Got rid of like their best rebounder, who he was a guard, but like he could actually rebound, and their best defender, the guy that like helped mask a ton of Isaiah Thomas's like shortcomings. It's just like, man, what are you thinking? I know that like I get it, Jay Crowder, you like him a lot, but like, dude's not better than Avery Bradley,
Right.
and is like, you just drafted Jason Tatum. Like, how many small forwards do you need? And now they're trying to say that Jaylen Brown's really a 2 and isn't really a 3, and it's like, okay, but Jaylen Brown isn't the level of defender that Avery Bradley is right now. Like,
Right. But I mean, great move for the Pistons.
yeah, 100%. And they needed something. They needed a way to stay kind of relevant in the East, and by relevant I mean like a low seed, because it looked like they weren't going to be able to do that again, even with a weak conference. But Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond are questionable, but the ability to add Avery Bradley alongside Tobias Harris and a couple of those other guys, Henry Ellenson did really well in Orlando Summer League. So having some of these guys and not having to match a max offer sheet for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, it puts them in a pretty good position.
Yeah, it does. I like what they've done this offseason. But, okay, we have not discussed this before, but it just came to me. Is this the year that the NBA needs to go to the top 16 teams seeding playoff type strategy instead of 8 from the West and 8 from the East?
It won't happen specifically for scheduling reasons.
Right.
That's the reason why it'll probably never happen, is because the travel that it would take for a team that's in the East with like a top 3 seed having to go to, let's say that, okay, so team 16 is Miami,
Sure.
and they have to travel to San Francisco to play Golden State for 2 games, and then travel back. You basically lose an entire day just to travel, more so than you normally do in the finals, because the finals we have that, and the traveling is really rough on some of those guys to begin with, and not having to just do like an hour flight or whatever and having to do a longer time flight. It's just rough on guys, and it's the reason why the NBA will never do that. The West was really weak originally in the 80s when there were the teams like the Pistons and the Bulls were coming up. There was teams like that, and West wasn't really that much better in the 90s, and then it turned around really in the late 90s, early 2000s with Tim Duncan, Kobe, Dirk, all these guys coming to Western teams and really making it to where all of a sudden there's tons of 50-win teams in the West, and the East was good for so long that they didn't get these top guys, and then they got LeBron, they had Paul Pierce, and now again, like, there's just so much I think fallout still from that some of these other Western teams got some really good management in, and that even if they weren't going up against the likes of Kobe, Nash, Dirk, Tim Duncan, they were able to build more, and now they're seeing really the fruits of their labor. And the Rockets were able to do a super quick turnaround. The Thunder built so much, lost Kevin Durant, but then were able to do another turnaround. And while this helps a lot by East guys going West and trades and this and that, I think that this historically happens where one team is historically just better than the other. And it hasn't caused things to change in the past, and it's not going to cause things to change now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we have these shifts of power every so often. Now it's just like super apparent, I feel like. And as cool as it would be to do the top 16 teams getting into the playoffs, it isn't realistic, and you're right. But part of me still wishes it would happen.
Yeah, 100%. I think it would have. I mean, it would have helped us in 2013. We would have had cut into the playoff drought. I mean,
Yep.
we were 48 wins. That should have been a playoff team, and that's what's going to end up happening this year. Because, man, is the West going to be tough as usual.
Yep, it will. But we'll get there. It's us and like the Kings and those kind of teams who, in a few years, when other teams can't re-sign all their players and they start to dissipate, will be there intact. As long as we don't have to give Booker a contract like Harden just got. Which I would happily give to him.
You're just going to throw that out there right now. Chuck had sent us a message in our kind of group text that we have between us and talked about how James Harden just got this 4-year, $228 million extension. And would you do that for Booker? And, you know, I don't think there's really that much of a conversation if we would, but man, is that a lot of cap space taken up?
It's so much.
Over 50% of the cap, and I get it. Like, some of these guys are worth it, but like, when you have that much cap, and like, there is still a hard cap in the NBA. Like, I know that for some people it really doesn't seem like there is one. There is a hard cap, and farther back than the soft cap that is there, and like, it might not seem like it, but these teams, they do have to like work with cap, and that just, what did the Rockets do when they signed CP3 next summer? Like, give him a super max and then have
Right.
2 players on their rosters?
Yeah, really. Okay, so let's talk really quick about winners and losers of free agency so far. I know you have some thoughts.
Yeah,
on this
my
one,
first
David.
winner is, I mean, I think you got to go with OKC for sure as like kind of your major winner, being able to turn around and trade for a player like Paul George. Because I mean, even if Paul George goes, you've increased your chances so much of just showing that you're willing to do what it takes to put a winner around Westbrook, put a winning team around Westbrook. And I know it may not have seen it like it that much where he was having to basically be the team last year. I think that it definitely shows this year with a trade for Paul George. They drafted whoever that dude was that went and played in Australia. I think that dude's going to be a pretty solid role player for them. They re-signed Andre Roberson. They were able to sign Patrick Patterson, who's going to be a solid 3-and-D guy for them at the 4. They've still got Steven Adams. They still have Enes Kanter for now. I think that it's going to be really good for the long term for Russell Westbrook staying in Oklahoma, even if Paul George leaves.
Yeah, I agree with that. And my winner, which is super obvious, is Minnesota getting Jimmy Butler and finally getting rid of Ricky Rubio. I actually like Ricky Rubio, but they've been trying to trade him for like forever, and now they did. And they also got rid of Chris Dunn, so good for them. But I mean, just getting Jimmy Butler makes them an automatic win.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to get Taj Gibson. It looks like they signed Jamal Crawford, so that helps them there. I don't know if moving Ricky Rubio to sign Jeff Teague is that good of a move, but we mentioned that last week, so it's not as much there. I still think we need to give Chris Dunn a little bit of time before we just try to say that.
That's true.
It was a slow burn for him in college, and I think it's going to be a slow burn for him in the NBA. And I think we need to cool it a little bit on the Dunn is terrible hype train that is going around in the NBA right now.
We'll give him time, but he was not good in his first year. And let's see here. Another winner that we kind of talked about already is Detroit. I have to pick them as a winner because they got Avery Bradley for Marcus Morris. We just talked about this, but I'm going to say it again. Like, that is seriously such a huge win, getting rid of Marcus Morris. Even just that, even if they would have cut him, I would have called them a winner. But instead they got Avery Bradley for him. Like, I cannot understate how awesome of a move that was. Like, so good. I'm happy for the Pistons.
See, there is a much clearer winner in the Central Conference than the Pistons, and that's the Bucks. Because the Bucks didn't do anything. They haven't done anything. But they kept everything together. They didn't make any hasty moves, and now they're a top 4 seed in the East. Like, this was something that's good for them. They still have Jabari Parker. He's going to be coming back from injury. They still have Chris Middleton. They have Malcolm and Thon, who played better than a lot of people thought they would last year. And Giannis is 22 years old and will have the opportunity to lead that team to the playoffs and a top 4 seed. And the dude's just going to get better.
Yeah, you're right. They are a winner because of that. And I'll go with my last winner here. And do you have any ideas who it is?
You know, I'm thinking, but
it's gonna be
I have
really
an idea.
Obvious
so
once I say it.
I have an idea, but let's
idea?
hear it.
What's your idea?
No, I gotta hear it. I'll tell you if I was right or wrong after I hear it.
Okay, Miami.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was right.
Miami signed my boy Kelly Olynyk, and I think that's going to be an awesome fit. Really excited to see what he can do. I mean, he's taking his talents to South Beach, and I'm really happy that Kelly got paid. So Kelly is a good player, okay? David doesn't like him, but he's a good player.
You know, all Miami needed was to find the next D Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh, and they did that in
That's right.
Dion Waiters, James Johnson, and Kelly Olynyk.
Oh, just music to my ears.
I am so glad we did not give him a $50 million contract. I am so happy. I mean, like, I get it. You like Kelly Olynyk, but he is being paid way too much to be an unathletic shooter. Like, I get it. He shoots. Good job. So do a lot of other people, and they're a lot cheaper than $50 million.
But here's my thing. With Hassan Whiteside on that team, Olynyk is going to be able to do what he actually does, and that's shoot and not play defense or rebound. And it's going to be awesome.
Get excited for no defense and no rebounding.
We're Suns fans. That's our thing. Well, maybe not the rebounding part.
Hey, now we can rebound. We got Tyson.
But anyway, I'm happy for Kelly, and I think that's going to work really well in Miami.
Agree to disagree. Just kidding. No, it'll probably be fine. It'll probably be fine, and Miami will be a playoff team. They're really close, and blah 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 blah.
Thank you. I'll take.
Can I call the Rockets winners now?
Yes, absolutely.
Because they were 100% winners. They got Chris Paul. There's talks of them getting Melo in a 3-teamer with Pistons and Knicks, and they signed PJ Tucker. I don't think there is a better fit for PJ than the Rockets. There was talk the last couple of years that the Rockets were trying to get PJ in a trade from us, and then then they ended up with no assets really last year, and we ended up trading him to Toronto. But now they got him in free agency, and him teaming up with Harden and Chris Paul is just really good, and I think that team's going to be really fun to watch next year.
Yeah, they will. I mean, it's going to be awesome. We talked about it last week, but I'm still really excited to see Chris Paul and James Harden and what they can do together. And if they get Carmelo, I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see.
I mean, I don't think Carmelo's ever been third banana, and that's going to be interesting. Well, I said that on purpose.
I like that.
I said that on purpose.
That's so funny.
He's going to have to get used to it, though, if they're going to make the banana boat team in Houston by bringing D Wade over once he gets bought out, and then he'll be fourth banana. So he'll have to get used to it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Okay.
I mean, like turning him into like a 3/4 version of like a better Ryan Anderson, like that's okay. That's not a bad trade.
That's true. It's fine. Okay. Do you have any other winners?
I have no winners, but I do have at least one loser.
Yeah. Who are your losers?
I mean the Celtics.
Celtics. Interesting.
Because I think they're always losers, but this time they're really losers. I get it. They got Gordon Hayward, but what we just said about Avery Bradley earlier is so true that, like, man, they should have I get it. They like Jay Crowder, whatever. But, man, does Jay Crowder have beef with literally everyone. And, man, did they just draft Jason Tatum. And, man, did they draft the year before Jaylen Brown. And, man, did they get Marcus Morris back for Avery Bradley. Like, ugh. That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I consider them losers because Gordon Hayward is really good, but there was a reason they weren't on my winners list. You know, for one of my losers though, I have to give a shout out to our boy from our GM league, Chi-Town Loyalty. I'm not gonna make fun of the Bulls right now. I'm gonna make fun of the Pacers. At least we're not the Pacers.
But they got Sabonis.
Okay, I'm about to go there. Sabonis is going to be awesome. I love Sabonis. He's great. He's amazing, really great guy, going to be a great player. But Sabonis and Oladipo for Paul George, no picks. Like, a first-round pick for Paul George would have been a better trade than that. Are you kidding me? Like, I think I've said this before, but whatever. I'll say it again. The Pacers got screwed, and I actually made a bet with one of my friends who's a Pacers fan. I bet him $20 that the Suns would have a better record at the end of the season than the Pacers. And I'm confident. Like, I think the Pacers are going to be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty rough for them. I think another loser, though, is Memphis.
Yeah.
They let Zebo walk, basically. They lost Vince Carter, which those dudes are both old, but man, were they like really important to that Grizzly team. Like, so that way they had some sort of a bench. It looks like they're going to lose Tony Allen, who Tony Allen didn't do anything on offense, but that first team all defense is going to be rough. And I'm just, they're in the West. That everyone basically in the Southwest Division is gunning for championship or bust, basically. And I don't think we really expected that with what seems like the Warriors dynasty on the horizon, but everyone's still gunning for it, not really caring. And it seems like Memphis is just taking a couple steps back. And, you know, they were a perennial playoff team, and with the competition in the West, that's not as guaranteed now.
Right. Yep. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year.
I mean, like, they still have Mark and Mike Conley. Both those guys are really good. But, like, it's going to be tough.
Right. Well, but now you have teams like Minnesota to worry about in the West who didn't make the playoffs last year, you know? So
you've got Minnesota, you've got Denver, you've got NOLA.
Yep.
New Orleans, I'm still higher on than Minnesota or Denver. I almost said Detroit.
And Detroit.
And Detroit, but New Orleans is going to be good. And when Drew Holiday was alongside Boogie and AD, they were on pace. They were basically a team that would be on pace for 53 wins.
Yeah.
So that team is going to be good, I think. And like, I just think that when you've got that kind of like big men stuff, that like, I get it, Mark, you're good. I get it, Mike Conley, you're good. But the star power on some of these other teams that are gunning for a playoff spot are just better.
Yep. I think you're right. Any other losers for you, or should we wrap it up?
I think the Clippers are losers. Yeah, they were able to keep Blake Griffin. Yeah, they added some pieces in the Chris Paul trade, but man, without Chris Paul, we're going to see what they can do. And DeAndre owes probably like 80% of his contract that he signed a couple years ago to Chris Paul, because man, does Chris Paul make everyone look good.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, they might be another team that doesn't make the playoffs either.
I mean, like, I still don't want to underrate Blake, but dude's in a walking boot. They just paid $175 million to a dude in a walking boot, like right now. So it's going to be tough. That's going to be another uphill battle that another perennial playoff team for the last X amount of years is probably not going to be there. Or not probably, but has the potential to not be there next year.
Yeah, you're right. Well, let us know in comments on our Twitter or YouTube or whatever. If you agree or disagree or who your winners and losers are, we always love hearing from you. But let's wrap things up the way we always do with David's Comic Book Corner, Mitch's Metal Minute, and I'm going to come up with something for Chuck because I do have something that I'm sure he would plug, and I'll do it really quick. Game of Thrones, the new season starts soon. I don't know when, but I know it's soon, and I'm sure that's what he would plug. So, David, what do you have?
Something Game of Thrones. That's awesome. You know, I kind of have two things to plug. I watched 2 movies in the last week that made me just feel really good. One of them is Spider-Man. Spider-Man just came out. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, both comics-wise and even the movies. I've liked them all, basically. I think that this was just a really solid movie, and it was a lot of fun, and I was really excited to watch it. So there was that. But the other one is I watched Power Rangers.
Oh, nice. I still haven't seen that, but I have been meaning to.
Oh my gosh, was there just nostalgia everywhere, and like it seemed like the first like 80% of the movie is like, oh, we're gonna do like this real Power Rangers movie, and then Zord show up and they're just like, nah, we're just going all in on like just making this like $100 million 90s like toy commercial, and I was so down for it. It's like it's trying to be like at the beginning like kind of Breakfast Clubby, kind of like whatever, and then it's just like, nope, this is Power Rangers. This is hilarious. I had way too much fun watching that movie for not being a like top shelf movie.
All right, nice. I still need to check both of those out, but I want to for sure. What I'm going to plug is an album that I have been meaning to listen to. It came out like, I want to say 3 weeks ago or so, but I'm finally listening to it, and it's Chon's new album, Homie. Chon is this like very technical prog metal band, but like they use a lot of clean guitars and mostly instrumental. Super cool stuff. My favorite songs on this album are Sleepy Tea, Water Slide, Feel This Way, and Continue with a question mark. So check that out. It's got a lot of great summer vibes. I think that's like summer vibes is like what you say when you post a picture of you at the pool on Instagram or something. But
I mean, that's gonna be us. We're gonna be
that's right.
We're gonna be the summer vibe end. We're gonna be at the pool. we're gonna be in our purple, orange, and black Speedos. It's gonna be a ton of fun. I do have to ask you real quick before we close this up, though. Have you heard those 2 new Nothing More songs?
No, I still haven't. You sent me you listening to them earlier today, and I was like, gosh. Oh, Nothing More has new songs. But no, I haven't yet.
Their album doesn't come out until September,
okay,
but I'm really excited for it. You got to check out those songs, man.
I'll listen to them as soon as we're done.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, and we will be back next week with our very special Summer League episode, and make sure you're following us on social media because we're going to be doing a lot of really cool stuff. But in the meantime, enjoy the games and go Suns.